It's one of the great Hollywood ironies that Christopher Plummer didn't like the film that made him a legend. It's one of the great Hollywood ironies that Christopher Plummer didn't like the film that made him a legend. He was an actor's actor and had cut his teeth doing Shakespeare. The Sound of Music, he thought, was sentimental schlock. And he wasn't alone. Reviews at the time were famously terrible. Then, like a personal curse, it would go on to become a universally beloved classic. He'd played Henry V and Hamlet, and yet Captain von Trapp, he said in 1982, followed him around, like an albatross. But even Plummer, who died Friday at the age of 91, lived long enough to soften a bit. And why wouldn't he? He also got to enjoy something that so few actors do, a genuine third act with terrific roles as 60 Minutes, correspondent Mike Wallace in Michael Mann's The Insider, a widower who comes out later in life in Mike Mills' Beginners, and, most recently, a slain mystery writer in Rian Johnson's Whodunnit, Knives Out. He got 3 Academy Award nominations in one decade and, at age 82, would become the oldest actor to ever win an Oscar for Beginners. He still holds that title. "You're only 2 years older than me, darling. Where have you been all my life?" he said to his Oscar in 2012. "When I first emerged from my mother's womb, I was already rehearsing my Academy thank you speech. But it was so long ago, mercifully for you I've forgotten it." Dapper and dashing with an aristocratic air, Plummer could have been a leading man without the talent. With it he was a star with a character actor's spirit, which he later would attribute his longevity to. "I'm thrilled that I turned into a character actor quite early on. I hated being a poncey leading man," he told Vanity Fair in 2015. "You really start to worry about your jawline. Please." Born in Toronto in 1929, Plummer was the great-grandson of Canadian Prime Minister John Abbott and fell for the theatre at a young age. Classically trained, he was a self-proclaimed snob about the stage and resisted the allure of the big screen for a time. As if to prove his own point, his first few films are not well remembered. Then came The Sound of Music. It didn't help that he got the added blow that his singing voice was going to be dubbed in the final film. "The only reason I did this bloody thing was so I could do a musical on stage on film," he said. But he did get a lifelong friendship with Julie Andrews out of the deal. He retreated to the theatre for a time, which would be a refrain through his life. He won Tony Awards for Cyrano and Barrymore and would even get to go back to Shakespeare, as King Lear, later in life. Over his 6-decade career, his screen credits would prove wildly diverse. He was in Malcolm X and Must Love Dogs. He was a Klingon in a Star Trek, and Tolstoy in The Last Station, Rudyard Kipling in The Man Who Would Be King, and Captain Newport in The New World.